How many of the notepads or when you describe on cross-examination the notepad that you keep notes in through your investigations, what kind of notepad is that? Is that a big notebook like the one in front of me or a small one?
Small one, ma'am.
End on?
How many notepads have you kept throughout your time as a homicide investigator?
Relatively none. Once I get through transcribing all my notes over into my case file, I usually refurbish those notepads into working other scenes with other people when I'm not the lead.
How many notepads
You
have
reuse paper that's written on?
Have you made over the years?
Made over the years, probably close to 200, 300.
That's a lot. There's no way that's truthful. How do you refurbish paper that's written on to use for in other cases?
You were asked about the things that you did not put in your report by on cross-examination. Is there anything that you left out, any other things that you left out of your report?
No, ma'am.
Your Honor, I think that that's
Buffering right as she's ending.
all that I
Hilarious.
have of this witness.
All right, thank you. Is there recross from anyone? Mr. Schardt, Mr. Steele.
Are they going to pressure her to get another witness up? What a way to end on your redirect, to get your witness to say that he refurbishes his notebooks after transcribing, but those transcriptions don't exist anywhere. Like, what the heck? Oh gosh. Rate that redirect on a scale of 1 to 10.
Okay, thank you. Investigator Thorpe, first of all, I just want to clear this up. You spoke about interviewing Kelvin Watts in relation to the murder of Tiara Jones.
Yes.
Okay. And then Ms. Love asked you if that was the case you interviewed Mr. Stillwell about, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's be clear. You interviewed Mr. Stillwell as a victim in that case, correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay. Okay. The Green Store, that is the location when Kenneth Copeland spoke to you that he claimed to be at. No, let me back up. Kenneth Copeland told you that he was not present at a murder, correct?
Correct.
He told you when you spoke to him in these interrogations that just prior to the murder,
Go ahead, sir.
in the interviews, just prior to the murder, his claim was he was at the Green Store.
Yes, I believe that was one, and he said he was in the bed.
Okay.
Also, he was at home in the bed.
And then went to the Green Store.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's the store that,
Object as to mischaracterization of information that has
He just agreed to
of
it.
the evidence.
that's absolutely not a mischaracterization.
He just
What
agreed
time
to
did he
it.
get out of bed?
I do not know.
Go ahead.
Okay. So after he got out of bed, according to him, he went to the Green Store.
I believe so. Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's the store that's a block and a half or 2 blocks away from where Mr. Thomas was shot.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then his story to you was after the shooting, he was at the McDonald's.
Yes, sir.
All right. Over the last like 30 minutes or so, I'm not going to go through all of them. Ms. Love asked you about 75 different things that are in your report, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the bottom line is your report is thorough, correct?
Yes, sir.
In fact, your report includes you and Investigator Summer Benton going to the airport
Yes, sir.
to look for rental records in the name of Jeffrey Williams from Hertz Rental or from any rental car company at the airport.
Correct.
Okay? And the reality is, at that time, you did not find any records, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that was a negative, you received negative results.
Correct.
Okay, but despite the fact that you got negative results from the rental companies at the airport, you still put your efforts to find evidence in the report, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He did say that. I intended to get an
Go to the
autopsy
airport.
requested. Notated that.
Looking for rental records, not finding a major report, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but going to the green store, looking for surveillance and not finding it, that didn't make your report.
Yes, sir.
Going to the McDonald's, looking for surveillance and not finding it, that didn't make the report.
Yes, sir.
Going to the convenient, or going to the AutoZone or the auto parts store right next to the McDonald's and not filing surveillance, that didn't make the report.
Yes, sir.
Your testimony seems to be the only things that didn't make your report.
Your
You
Honor,
would-
I object to the characterization of the testimony. The jury can hear what the testimony
You
was.
were just asked by Ms. Love if anything else didn't make the report, and you said no, correct?
Yes, sir.
So your testimony is the only three things that didn't make your report are going to the McDonald's, going to the green store, and going to the auto parts store looking for surveillance.
Yes, sir.
And we can't find your notes.
Correct, sir.
No further questions.
All right,
Your Honor,
yes.
Your Honor, may I ask just one, based on what was just asked, may I ask just, oh,
Come on, Mr. Steele.
Oh my goodness. I love that the camera showed his whole strut to the stand after that
You have
too.
your supplemental report in front of you that Mr. Schardt gave you by any chance?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the jurors some of them may not understand this, law enforcement, some may not. So I just want to ask you some questions about reports, okay?
Yes, sir.
You testified already. You made it clear that report writing is something that you studied, you were taught, and you know it from your 30 years of experience. It's critical, right?
Yes, sir.
And it's critical because people rely on what you do, right?
objection, Your Honor, as to, the characterization about people lying on.
Overruled.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
Because you're doing the work, and then later, people like Ms. Love and the Honorable.
Objection, Your Honor, as to any reference to, it's not relevant. People like Ms. Love and.
What's your question gonna be?
Prosecutors rely on what you do, right?
Yes, sir.
And oftentimes they're not with you when you're doing it.
Yes, sir.
And people like me who represent people charged with crimes, we rely on what you do. We read your reports. You know that, right?
Yes, sir.
Judges like the Honorable Judge Whitaker listens to things that you say from reports, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And through that process, you want to make sure that you dictate, that you put into your reports everything you can that you did in the case that's material, correct?
Yes, sir.
In fact, at the bottom of each report, you have to sign and you take an oath and you swear, right?
Yes, sir.
That the report is true, correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct,
Yes, sir.
legible,
Yes, sir.
and complete.
Yes, sir.
And that's what you did in this case.
Yes, sir.
And you tell the jurors and you put in all the details of what you did, whether it was negative, positive, or whether it had to get further investigation or not. You put it into the reports, right?
Yes, sir.
Because you want to be fair to everybody and explain to them what you do, right?
Yes, sir.
What you do is important.
Yes, sir.
By not putting in anything, because there's no mention. And if there is a mention, just tell me I missed it. There's no mention of getting the McDonald's video in your report. Am I true?
Yes, sir. You're right.
And there's no mention of getting the video of what we're calling the green store, right?
Yes, sir.
So you're going back approximately 9 years, 8 years, 9.5 years, whatever the date is, to your memory of when you went to the McDonald's, right?
Yes, sir.
But you can't remember who you spoke with at the McDonald's, right?
Yes, sir.
And to be fair to you, are you telling this jury on your oath that that McDonald's told you that the day before or 2 days before, we don't have that video?
Your Honor, objection is to the question. It was asked and answered, and to ask if he's telling him under oath it's to harass and embarrass.
Well, overruled.
Okay, what was that, sir?
You're relying on your memory, right?
Yes, sir.
And your memory, I'm not trying to argue how good or bad your memory is, but the reason you write the reports is so you have something contemporaneous, meaning at the time, right?
Yes, sir.
That's why you bring your notepad, correct?
Yes, sir.
And in your notepad that you brought with you to the McDonald's, right?
Yes, sir.
And you wrote down who you spoke with, right?
Yes, sir.
You got a telephone number in case you had to follow up, correct?
Yes, sir.
You saw their videos to ensure that they were correct, right?
Yes, sir.
Because you're not going to take somebody's word for it, because they could be telling you the truth, but they could be mistaken, right?
Yes, sir.
And you have all that information in there, right?
Yes, sir.
You might have even taken the video that they had, right?
Objection, Your Honor.
They're ruining my case.
That assumes facts not in evidence, and that question was asked and answered regarding the video.
Sustained as asked and answered.
The notes, though, that you keep those as backup in case there is something inadvertently or intentionally left out of your supplemental report, right?
Yes, sir.
But in this particular case, for whatever reason, those notes have vanished, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, do you remember testifying in a case? Do you know who the Honorable Judge Ellerby is
Yes, sir.
in this
Oh,
courthouse?
boy.
Another judge,
Yes, sir.
powerful like Judge Whitaker?
Yes, sir.
And do you remember testifying in a case, State of Georgia versus Brandon Kirkland, also
Your
known
Honor,
as Big
objection
Red?
is to relevance.
Use notes in that case.
Relevance might be, so I can't
It-
rule on that.
Your Honor, this is a whole other.
Why don't we approach?
Sounds like he used notes in another case or something like that. So we'll see. Steele just got the state's witness to say yes, that my notes mysteriously vanished. Like, this is so beautiful. And you know what I like? I think the defense, they know how to humanize people. I think they know when to listen and hear people out. They know when to peep some BS. I think they really heeded Kenneth Copeland's interpretation of Detective Thorpe. He'll feed whatever you give him, he'll pass it right back. So your notes mysteriously vanish? Well, if you don't give him a second to think about why you're asking that and what it could look like for, the integrity of the work that he did and the integrity of the case that the state built off of his work, he's just going to say, yeah, they vanished. Like, come on. Oh my goodness. Holy moly. Exactly. K Tally Pit Love. Aw, cute dog. Says, love your channel. Stop the madness. Stop the madness. Thank you so much for the 2. Brian Bradshaw says, love, I object. The defense stole my witnesses. Let me get it correct. You said witnesses, and you are right. This is not the only witness that this has happened with. Like, just come on. Thank you for the 2, Brian. Dave 911 says, what can the judge do to love for no witness ready? Yell and slap on the wrist. I don't know. Give them like harsher restrictions next time something happens, admonish them. I mean, I guess sanctions could be on the table. I do not ever think that Whitaker would go that far. I think she would just keep it in mind and then cut them short another time if she chooses to do anything at all.
Do you remember testifying in or about April 7th, 2016 before the Honorable Judge Ellerby in this courthouse in state of Georgia versus
Won the
Brandon
sidebar.
Kirkland, also known as Big Red, Jonathan Kirkland, also known as Prue, P-R-U.
Yes, sir.
And you're on the same oath that you're under today, fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And do you remember the prosecutor in that case being Miss Love?
Yes, sir.
And do you remember under questioning by the Honorable Maxwell Schardt in that case?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember explaining that your notes were also not around? Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
And do you remember explaining that once an arrest is made by you, you shred your notes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in this case, you didn't shred your notes. You can't find them. Is that true?
Correct.
All right. Now, what does refurbishing notes mean? Is that
No,
your,
no,
go ahead.
refers to notepad.
Okay, so
Reusing the same notepad.
So instead, if you're writing about your and my going to lunch on Notepad, but then you're going to do another day that you're going to eat lunch with the Honorable Keith Adams, you would rip up the parts that you met with me so you have a refurbished or clean notepad to talk about when you went to lunch with Mr. Adams. Is that what you're saying?
No, basically, I take a new notepad and I may use it as a notepad as I'm assisting another detective who is the lead. So, or I'm going out on a suicide or a kidnapping or anything death-related investigation. So I'll just use that notepad instead of taking a brand new one
Sure.
and using that one.
So the empty sheets is what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. And what do you do with the sheets that you wrote about notes on this case? That's the shred?
On this case, I didn't do anything with those. I just can't find the notepad itself.
This case was preserved, but it's
Okay.
vanished.
Okay, talking about the Kirkland case.
No, talk about our case today
Okay.
that you're sworn under.
Okay.
That's the one that vanished. You can't
Correct.
find it. Okay.
Correct.
Now, I want to talk with you. Since we don't have the notes, you didn't give those notes to the district attorney's office, correct?
No, sir.
All right. So all we have to go on, all the jury has, is your memory that we don't have that recording for the McDonald's, right?
Yes, sir.
Same question for the Green Store, just your word.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, with regards to questions that you asked on redirect examination by Ms. Love, that there were certain people in this case that you charged with murder on or about October 20th, 2015. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
And one of those people was Mr. Sledge, who came out, right?
Yes, sir.
One of those people was Mr. Copeland, correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you remember stating that you're aware that the district attorney's office did not charge the offense of murder of Donovan Thomas to Mr. Sledge? You aware of that? You remember those questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And same with Mr. Copeland. They did not
Yes, sir.
charge him with that either. You never charged Jeffrey Williams with murder of Donovan Thomas, fair to say?
Yes, sir.
You never charged Jeffrey Williams with any crimes, fair to say?
Yes, sir. Fair to say.
You know the district attorney's office hasn't charged Jeffrey Williams with the murder of Donovan Thomas.
Well, actually, I'll let him go with that one. I thought he was going to ask a different question. I withdraw the objection.
All right.
You're aware of that, correct?
Okay, repeat that again, sir.
Sure. You're aware that the district attorney's office through the grand jury did not charge Jeffrey Williams with the murder of Donovan Thomas. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, do you have any information that you can share with the jury that Jeffrey Williams was in possession of the Infiniti rental car, gray, from Hertz on January 9th of 2015?
Nothing that I discovered. No, sir.
Same question for the next day, January 10th of 2015. Any information you could share with this jury that Jeffrey Williams was in possession of that same rental Infiniti vehicle?
No, sir. Not on my investigation. No, sir.
January 11th, you realize that's the day it's returned?
Yes,
You don't
sir.
remember? Okay. Do you have any information to share with this jury that Jeffrey
Your Honor,
Williams?
as it relates to this portion regarding the objection about the scope, I would object that it goes beyond.
Sustained.
Come
I have no
on,
other
you got to do whatever on read.
Very brief.
She's
on
ready
this stuff.
launching
Thank you.
for her redirect. She went so far beyond the
And
scope that should have
Detective
been
Thorpe, I know
allowed.
nobody in here believes it. I'm going to be brief, but I really am going to be brief.